No relationships are 50-50. So the myth of relationships, like egalitarian relationships being 50-50, is just that. It's a myth. Michelle Obama talks about this, how, she had to support Barack for so many years of her marriage, and then they had to take turns, that now it's her turn, that she's getting the support in the marriage, because like the idea of things being 50-50, it just is not, it's not even productive. Brené Brown, who is the leading researcher in belonging, like says that she does this on a daily basis with her husband, where she comes home and says, listen, I'm running on 20. I've got 20% to give today. And he says, you know what? I'm doing okay, so I'll make up the other 30 for you. And they come to an agreement every day on like who's giving what. So I think first and foremost, the idea that things are 50-50, if you want egalitarian relationship, a relationship that's based on equity, I would like look at it as being 100% and 100%. So two people giving 100%, because you can't even quantify what, somebody is doing. It's not like we're doing half the dishes and then leaving the other half for our partner to finish. Okay, that isn't how our lives work, and you can't really quantify. My husband could be running around the house doing all kinds of housework stuff. I run businesses. I could be sitting there brainstorming, like with my iPad and my Apple Pencil, just like thinking and drawing up ideas and stuff, and we could both be giving 100. But if we start weighing, who's doing what, the scales could look wildly out of balance when really they're not, right? And we're here for different jobs. We have different things to give. I don't want to be with myself. I want to be with somebody who complements me. So I don't need somebody to do half my job. I can do all my job. Thank you very much. And like the person that I want to be with, I want them to be doing all their job too. And I hope, that my husband can be doing jobs that I can't, or that maybe, he's better suited for, that he can do better than me. And that's when we get into embracing positive masculinity. So the traits of leadership is part of positive masculinity. Women can be leaders, yes, absolutely. I run multiple businesses, okay? I am a leader in my research. My research keeps pace with the cutting edge research and outpaces it, goes beyond it, okay? So like leadership is absolutely open to women, but we do it in a completely different way. In a matriarchal society, we don't have heads of companies and heads of government. We have groups. Okay, so the board in, a publicly traded company, the board, that's a female way of doing things. The CEO, that's a male way of doing things. And that is when we think leadership, when we're talking about leadership, we're talking about that CEO kind of visionary, pushing through stuff, kamikaze, positive masculine trait. We're thinking about, a prime minister or a president. That's that masculine leadership quality. We're talking about boards of advisors. That's that feminine leadership through community. Matriarchal societies, they have groups of women that make decisions together, and then typically those decisions are then handed off to men to make happen. Why? Because they cut through the BS. They don't listen to anybody. They just keep going and do their thing. They've got vision, they've got power. The men line up behind them and they push through. That is what we're talking about when we're talking about leadership in men and positive masculinity. As I mentioned, I'm a leader, right? My husband stays home with my kids. He also does the job in a completely different way than a woman would, okay? He's like embracing leadership qualities, and he does things in a very masculine way. I am a leader in my house. I run multiple businesses, as I said. I'm the primary breadwinner. I take care of all the finances, stuff like that. And the reason that I am so good at what I do is because I'm constantly listening to everybody, including this comment, right? Like, I'm listening to you. I'm listening to this person being like, okay, and this is what this person thinks and whatever, and thinking about it and processing it, and then coming back with information, right? So I'm exceptional at my job because I'm constantly looking into research into what everybody else thinks, what everybody else is seeing, what the data says. When people have dove into, looking at mass groups of people, what comes of that? I look across times and cultures to find, evidence of pieces of human happiness that transcend them all. I'm listening to everyone, right? I'm doing this in a very feminine way. And when we're talking about, the traits of femininity and masculinity, they correspond to one another. They complement one another. If you're talking about somebody who doesn't respect your decisions, who doesn't respect you as a human being, this is not masculine, okay? That is some BS. That is a bad relationship. That is a person who can't empathize, who doesn't have any respect for you, that doesn't have anything to do with leadership. That is a tragically crappy person trying to masquerade as a leader who doesn't have any respect for what the other people around them and the people that they're leading think or feel or how they see. And I'm glad you brought up parenthood, because a good parent really is a leader. A good parenting role really is a leadership role. Why? Because you're seeing what your kids need, you're seeing their potential, you're considering what they want, and you're helping them get it. You're also leading by positive example. You're showing them how to make their dreams a reality. You really are in a leadership role. And I think what you're getting at here is that sometimes we have to make decisions for children, right? And sometimes we have to, prevent them from doing things, or force them to do other things, right? But that's guardianship. And the reason that we have guardianship over children is because their brains are not fully developed. Until their brains are fully developed, which doesn't actually happen until the mid-20s. So really, children really are children until they're like mid-20s. We have guardianship over them. Now, to somebody over the age of 25, that's completely inappropriate. Nobody should have guardianship over somebody over the age of 25. And I know exactly what you're talking about here, because men historically were given guardianship of women. But if we want to smash the negative aspects of patriarchy, we really, really, really do need to lean in and start celebrating the positive aspects of positive masculinity. So when we're talking about leadership, men being leaders and women wanting men who are leaders, we actually, the men who are actually looking for egalitarian relationships are going against the grain. They have to have leadership qualities in order to do that. So as I said, this is in response to a comment I was making that people that were speaking against the positive masculine trait of leadership, that women don't want leaders. I was saying that these people didn't understand what leadership is. And this is a perfect example, because it is talking about like ownership or guardianship, when that isn't what leadership is. And if somebody is pulling the wool over your eyes and saying that this is leadership and they're being a strong man because they're telling you what to do, not respecting you, trying to push past your boundaries, or get you to do things that only serve them, and there's nothing reciprocal, that isn't a leadership, okay? That's just a D-bag. And they're not doing anything new, okay? They're just going with the same BS that has been doled out for centuries. But they don't get to define what leadership is. And what a good leader wants is success for all those who follow them, whether that leader is a man or a woman. I actually think when we're talking about egalitarian relationships and using the strengths of women and men, the feminine and the masculine, this idea of masculine leadership should probably look like the woman making decisions on what she wants, that matriarchal kind of role of women deciding, making decisions, weighing everything, listening to everybody, and then making a decision what's best for everybody. And then the man taking that kamikaze leadership approach that just cuts through everything, that masculine strength, and making it happen for her and for her family. That's egalitarian. It's not 50-50, it's 100-100, and it's equal but different. And it's functional.